Hi there, this is Mr. Rancor, and I'm here to read the unit summary for you for the reproduction book. Excuse me. So LabAids has these new summaries at the end of their books now. So when we get to the end of a book or the end of a unit, rather than trying to pull all the information out from every activity, we can actually just read the unit summary. It's not very long, it's about 2 pages, but you're going to do this before you actually complete excuse me, the works that I've given you. So you can either read this yourself. Sorry, I just have a bad cough. Or you can just read along with me. Here we go. So we are on heredity and genes. Offspring inherit characteristics such as eye color or height from their parents. The different versions of these characteristics, such as blue, brown, gray, or green eyes in humans, are called traits. Traits are inherited by offspring through genes, which transmit information from parents to the next generations. The genetic information is coded by DNA on chromosomes. Humans, animals, and plants contain pairs of each kind of chromosome and therefore 2 versions or alleles for each gene. Each gene codes for production of a protein that carries out a function in the organism. Genes influence characteristics as varied as appearance, blood type, certain health conditions, and behavior, depending on the function of the proteins they code for. Let's go on to sexual and asexual reproduction. In some species, a single organism can reproduce through asexual reproduction. The offspring are clones genetically identical to the parent. Other species, including humans, reproduce through sexual reproduction and require 2 parents. These organisms get half of their chromosomes and therefore half of their genes from each parent. Animals have specialized behaviors and plants have specialized structures that increase the probability of successful reproduction. There can be genetic variation or genetic difference among individuals in a population that lead to some having greater reproductive success than others. Excuse me. Diversity in offspring. When the genes of a cell are reproduced, occasionally there are random changes to the DNA called mutations. These mutations can be helpful, harmful, or neutral depending on how they affect the structure and function of the protein coded by the gene. If the mutated genes are inherited by offspring and passed to successive generations, they increase the genetic diversity, or again, variation of the population. In asexually reproducing organisms, mutations can be passed directly to the offspring. In sexually reproducing organisms, the sperm and egg have only one kind of chromosomes. Mutations that occur in sperm or egg cells are passed to offspring. When fertilization occurs, the cell that results contains half its chromosomes and genes from the sperm, or the father, and half from the egg, or the mother. Offspring of the same parents tend to resemble each other because they share some of the same chromosomes and genes from each parent. However, since each offspring gets only half the genes from each parent, there is variation in the subset of chromosomes they receive. With the exception of identical twins, each offspring's genes are a unique combination of genes from both parents. Even identical twins, which have the same genes, vary due to effects of the environment on many traits. Inheritance of traits. The trait produced by an allele can be dominant or recessive. The genotype of an organism is a combination of alleles that the organism has, and the phenotype is the physical appearance or other characteristics produced by these genes. If an organism has 2 of the same alleles, they are homozygous for that trait. And if they have 2 different alleles, they are heterozygous. By creating Punnett squares, people can determine the probability of possible genotypes and phenotypes of the offspring of 2 parent organisms. And if you look down here, here's the key science terms that we went through this quarter and the first quarter. So we talked about asexual reproduction. A characteristic is just another term for a trait. Chromosomes, fertilization, gene, genetic diversity, which, to be quite honest, we didn't get to talk a lot about that because we skipped a few activities. Heredity, inherited, mutation, reproductive success, sexual reproduction, and trait.